Hey everyone! Here I have a little tutorial for clipping key-generated images that will later be used to build 3D objects. I would like to show you an example of a fish trawler that plays an important role in the first chapter of the story in the animated film, The Lotus Kennel. Today, the typical and common method for creating a 3D object is to create a 3D grid and then map an image onto it. The visualization concept in this animated movie will be fundamentally different from that in other 3D films. In this movie, it is exactly the opposite. Here, the objects are composed of simple surfaces using previously created images that were previously cropped as PNGs in an editing program. Then the pure PNG surface build up the object by simply joining them together in space in the correct perspective. The alpha channel of the PNG ensures that the shape of the object is revealed. I would like to use two examples in this scene to briefly show what to look out for when preparing the picture. As the scene still looks a little empty, two box-like structures should be placed in two places on the boat. There is also a lifeboat further up, behind the bridge. In the meantime, almost 15,000 images have been generated solely for this film project via the Midjourney website. Less than 1% will be used for the movie in the end. The selected images are rescued and then downloaded to the own computer. This is followed by a further and very important upscaling in Topaz Labs, to ensure that the objects can later be cropped without a major anti-aliasing effect. In order to assemble the lifeboat later as an object in the 3D scene, it must now be separated from the template and freed from all unnecessary elements. It is then placed in a correct and symmetrical perspective. The tires on the side of the boat, which serve as fenders when mooring, are also removed, but not deleted, as they are to be added to the boat again later as a separate object. All open areas created in the process must now be closed and adjusted again using stamps and correction tools. Depending on how important the element is later in the film, or how close it comes to the camera and how large it is in relation to the overall ratio, the larger resolution or size of the image should be selected. In principle, the edge lengths in this scene are between 1000 and 4000 pixels. The second part of this video is about building a box for the trawler, which should be placed in two different places in a slightly different form. This box should fill the scene and empty areas. Another image was selected from the Midjourney image archive, from which one can easily extract elements that correspond to the idea of such a technical object. It should be a picture that has a rusty surface and has enough such elements. Whether this box makes any sense afterwards, or has a function is unimportant for this type of film. It is only important to imagine this object in a finished state. Whether this box works visually in the end, however, can only be decided completely on-site, in the 3D scene. The perspectives should also be adjusted beforehand. You can see very clearly on the surface that this object has a curvature in the upper area. This should be adjusted, and disturbing elements should also be adjusted here with the appropriate tools. At the end, this result is also named appropriately and saved as a PNG in the corresponding folder. For the upper deck side of the box, I like this element with the ventilation slots, which can also be seen at the front. I would also like to use it at the top, but in a twisted form. Whether this might not be too much in the end will only be seen in more detail in the later 3D scene. It is very nice to see here that this element does not sit straight on the surface. Since I have already merged the layers and don't want to go back, I decided to correct this perspective inaccuracy with other tools. In the end, everyone has to decide for themselves how much effort they want to put into such an object, which may never really be seen in this complete form in a finished film. Like with this cable here, for example, whether it is deleted or adjusted in perspective. But in any case, it can't stay as it is now. That's why you should look at each task in isolation and try to find the best possible result. As if this movie would only revolve around this one object in the end. It is perhaps comparable to a situation as if we were a prop master in a movie who puts all his love into the creation of an object that will never be seen in the end, only except in his memory. For the left side of this strange box, I have chosen a strange-looking element in this picture that looks like a turban. Will this work in the end? I have no idea, we will see. In any case, the side of the turban has to be cropped. Unlike the other pages, this file has to be saved as a PNG in any case, as it will need an alpha channel later due to the empty space. To make sure that there are no bright edges left over when clipping an object, which later creates strange effects on the 3D object, you should create another layer under the main layer and fill it with black color, so that you can see this edge better. In the next tutorial video, we will take a look at how these prepared images are put together to form a 3D object and whether they also work optically in the 3D scene, together with the trawler. Hope to see you there.